Hi, my name is Avyan and you're watching Parenting First in English. So we have another situation today for which we will be providing a solution. So the problem is my 16-year-old daughter recently went through a breakup. If that wasn't devastating enough for her, now her friends have rejected her as well. All of them have turned their backs on her. Her boyfriend is dating one of her friends. What do I do? It's a very tricky situation for your daughter. I wouldn't say that it is particularly tough for you as a parent to help her get out of this problem, but because we're talking about a 16-year-old girl who probably fell in love with this guy, with this boy, and it was all romantic at one point, and now suddenly everything has come crashing down for her. So it's a particularly tough time for her. But for you as a parent, I would say that, if you keep some things in mind, then you would be able to come out of it. You would be able to help her come out of it. So the first thing, before I even give you the solution, I would say that the first thing that you must ensure is that they are not harassing her. I repeat, the first thing that you must ensure is that they are not harassing her. Now, a 16-year-old girl, she fell in love, she had this romantic relationship, she was the center of attention of the entire school, of her class, and then suddenly everything comes crashing down. Her world has been destroyed completely. And it is your duty to ensure that those people are not, verbally or at worst physically saying or doing things to her that is kind of, pushing her into a depression, or pushing her to, pushing her back against the wall, because she's a 16-year-old girl. She really cannot take control of many things, and because she's kind of she's went through a breakup. Obviously, her mind is not in the right place. Her emotions, are not the way they would be for a 16-year-old girl, and she's having a torrent of she's probably undergoing a torrent of emotions right now, and she's having to choose between what she must believe in and what she mustn't believe in. And obviously, it could be that the friends who were actually supporting her before things went bad have turned their backs on her as well, and now she has absolutely no one to help her out of the situation. So it is very important for you as a parent to understand or to ensure that they are not harassing her, because if they do, then your daughter would just not, she would get to a point where it will be impossible for you to recover her. So ensure that they're not harassing her. That's not even a solution. That's something that you should do it like right away. You stop watching the video and ensure, just talk to her, or talk to someone at school, so that you kind of get an idea that they're not harassing her. And they can harass her by saying some bad things, that, hey, you are a complete loser, or something like that. Or they could even torment her physically by shoving her around, or by kind of snubbing her inside the classroom. So they could do a lot of things to harass her. So make sure that that's not happening. Okay. Solution one. As a parent, it's your responsibility at this moment that she has someone to talk to. And this is really important because she's very less likely to share things with you. Like she's not going to tell you, what's actually going on. and how she's feeling, what emotions that she's experiencing. So she's probably not in a position where she would want to share all those things with you. So she doesn't need active parental support at this particular moment. But she does need someone to talk to. She does need someone that she can share her feelings with. She does need someone that, she can kind of put her head on their shoulders and cry or talk to them about it. So you must ensure that there's a friend at school or, close to where you live, or perhaps a cousin. I mean, she should have someone that she can talk to. She shouldn't be in this completely alone, because that can do more damage than help her get out of it. And no matter what you think of your daughter, you might think that your daughter is really, mentally and emotionally strong, that she will be able to she will be able to pull herself out of this kind of problem. But make no mistake, she's a 16-year-old girl at the end of the day. I mean, you have absolutely no idea. I mean, no one has any idea the kind of emotions that will be going through. No one has any idea, the kind of feelings and thoughts and emotions that kind of are, spiraling inside the heads of teenagers, and what they're feeling at particular moments, and especially in moments where they are being kind of sort of secluded. They're being kicked out of a particular community that they consider to be of their own. If they get kicked out of that, that kind of friend circle of theirs, then they feel completely shattered inside, and they feel that there's nothing else to be positive about in life. So it's really important for you to ensure that there's someone that she can talk to. And the best thing would be, suppose there's a friend at school. You know that there's a friend at school who, she kind of has a really nice chemistry with, or she tends to spend more time with her, and they kind of talk about life, and they kind of discuss what they're feeling, and I mean, they're good friends. They talk to each other, and they tell each other what they're feeling, and if they're going through a problem or something. So you must ensure that there's that friend, and you must also, if at all possible, it would be best if you could talk to the parent of your daughter's friend and take them into confidence and tell them that, hey, this is what our daughter is suffering, going through, and I know that your daughter or your son is a really good friend of my daughter, so I really want him or her to be able to help her out, get out of this problem. That would be the best thing to do. I mean, if you take the parents into confidence, then you sort of have an indirect influence over her friend, over your daughter's friend. And by influence, I don't mean anything negative. You don't have to do anything negative. You just have to understand what she's feeling, because, I mean, she could be feeling anything. She could be having suicidal thoughts as well. I mean, you don't know, how deep the pain is for her. For you, it's probably nothing. It's probably just, teenage infatuation, as we all know it is. But you don't know what she's feeling. You don't know what what she has in her mind. So it would be best if you have an indirect connection through a friend, so that you actually understand what's going on, right? Okay. So you need to give her space. And it's crucial, because, you must teach her that she must learn to fight her own battles. Now, this isn't a war. This is not even a battle. This is a really tiny obstacle in her life, because 5 years or 10 years down the line, she's going to think about this particular moment, and she's going to laugh about it. She's going to say, oh, that was just, teenage infatuation. I did not know what I was doing, and you know, my mind was at the wrong places and everything. So she's going to understand. As she will mature, she will probably understand that, oh, it was nothing. It was just infatuation for me. And those people who were ignoring me back then, I have absolutely no qualms about being ignored. I really don't care. So it could be that your daughter becomes into this mature person 5 years or 10 years down the line, but for now, for her, this is a big battle. And for you, it might not be so, because obviously you have millions of things in your head. So, and you would want, because you see her every day so sad and so depressed and so removed from everything that's happening around her, you would actually wish that you could do something and to just take her sufferings from her, right? I mean, all of us parents actually wish that we could do something, that we take all the sufferings from our kids and take it upon ourselves. But in this case, you must give her that space. You must give her the chance to fight her own fight. You must give her the chance to stand up for herself and just sort of fight for herself. Obviously, she has been wronged by her friends, by her boyfriend, and she's been wronged by the very people that she thought that would never wrong her. So let her kind of understand, let her kind of process that inside her head. Let her kind of understand that, okay, I trusted these people, and then that's how they turned out to be. That means I shouldn't trust everyone. Now this is a lesson that she will learn on her own. Yes, you can be there, you can be involved. I'm not saying that you should completely remove yourself. That would be the biggest mistake of your life. But I would say just be there, but don't be there. Like, don't get involved in it so much that you have to literally ask your daughter every other day that, hey, what's happening, what's going on, how are things now, are you feeling better, is he saying something to you, are those friends of yours doing something or saying something to you? Yes, you should keep a track of what's actually happening, and you should have a conversation about it every 2 or 3 days. Just a minor conversation, just to kind of understand, her side of things, and kind of understand what's actually happening and what she's feeling all about it. But a much better way for you to understand what's actually going on is by observing her body language and observing how she responds at home, observing how she's, responding to everything that's going on, that's going around herself, and just how much she's participating in the activities at home, or, for instance, cooking, or sitting down when you sit down as a family to have dinner in the evening. Just observe how she's responding to the entire conversation that's happening on the dinner table. And at that moment, you shouldn't bring up the conversation about her situation as of now, but you can just slowly slide in and ask her, hey, how's it going, how's school, how's studies, are you enjoying that particular subject, or were you able to complete that particular research project? Just try to get her into conversation and observe her body language. Is she removed from you? Is she trying to hide and kind of not? Okay, is she not looking at you straight in the eyes? Is she trying to steal herself away from you every time she sees you, and every time she knows that you want to talk to her? Just kind of observe her body language, observe how she behaves, and observe how she carries herself, because just by understanding what her body language is will actually help you a lot in understanding what is actually going on in her mind. And you should be there as a counsel, be there as a guide, be there as someone who kind of is a third person and is also guiding her, counseling her, mentoring her. So be there as more of a guide than being someone who's literally just right there standing next to her and saying, hey, what's happening? What's going on? What did he say to you? Did he turn around and look back at you? Or what about that friend of yours? Did she say something back to you? Did she say something bad to you? Did she abuse you? Did she curse at you? don't get too much in the details, but give her the sense that you are there as a guide, as a counselor, because that will help her get the reassurance that she's not in it alone, but she actually needs right now. And also she'll feel more secure. She'll feel, okay, subconsciously it will hit her that there is someone that I can fall back on. Okay? It's really, like I mentioned before in solution number 2, it's really important that you keep an eye out on her. You really observe her, her body language, how she responds, how she's doing her work, and the way she's talking to you, the way she's responding to her sibling or to her father, to her mother, to her parents specifically. And this is because the more you observe her, the more you will be able to tell that whether she's feeling lonely, whether she's absolutely depressed. Because for these kids, for 16-year-old boys or girls, when they are depressed, they find an easy escape in drugs. So it could be that because of depression or because of disappointment or because of the fact that she's feeling devastated, she might resort to doing drugs. And I'm not saying this to you and to make you feel that, hey, it doesn't matter what you try to do as a parent, it doesn't matter how good your daughter is, she might do drugs or she will do drugs. I'm not saying that. It doesn't really matter whether she comes from a home where she has been given all the morals and values and she knows everything and she has everything crystal clear in her head. But at such a vulnerable age, it's very easy for her to find that escape route from her sadness, from her depression into drugs. And that is exactly where you do not want her to end up. Look at adults, look at the bravest, the smartest people on earth. When they fall prey to drugs, when they start taking drugs, they completely lose themselves. They have to go through rehab. They can't control their urges. They have to literally take an external help in order to, help them get out of it. And it takes years for them to come out of that cycle, that vicious cycle of taking drugs and then thinking that I will never take it again, and then getting into depression again and then taking drugs again. So it's a vicious cycle from which you have to save your daughter. So look out for signs like whether she's wearing a full sleeves top, or whether she's not looking to you eye to eye, whether in a conversation she's constantly distracted, or whether she's unusually slow, right? Or whether she has any sort of red marks around her nose. Look out for these signs and observe her 24/7. The moment you are home from work, the only thing that you should be focusing on is observing your daughter. Because you can never anticipate. Look, it's a teenager's mind at the end of the day. You have absolutely no idea what's going inside of it. I can never tell you what's going inside of it. What they are feeling, what they're experiencing and how they're responding to it emotionally. You can never be sure in a teenager's mind. You can never be sure about a teenager in this case. So look out for those signs. Observe her really, really very carefully. And apart from observing her like in general, like observing her mood, observing how she responds and everything, it's also important for you to take care of her physiologically. And that is because, when we are stressed, we tend to not take care of our nutrition. We are really not concerned whether we are eating the right food at the right time, and then whether we are drinking enough water, and whether all the nutrients that are required by our body are actually reaching our body. and she might be into eating loads of chocolates, or she might be into eating loads of, really high salty food. So it's really important for you to look out for any physiological signs of damage. I mean, I would say that get a health checkup done, take her to a doctor and just get a general checkup done and see if there's any sort of deficiency in her body. Because if there is a deficiency of any kind of any essential nutrient, then that will lead to a chemical imbalance, and a chemical imbalance would lead to just thrown off emotions. And when there's a chemical imbalance, on top of having all the mood swings and on top of dealing with this problem, if she has a chemical imbalance in her body as well, then it's going to just completely damage her. So, and because of not eating the right amount of food and the nutritious food, she might even sink further into depression. So it's really important for you to look out for those signs as well. And if she is taking drugs, you need to confront her. There is absolutely no excuse to take drugs. I mean, she's not in the position to even try something like that. I mean, I don't know how, the rules are there in your city, whether a 16-year-old girl or 16-year-old per se would be allowed to take any form of drug. So, I mean, in addition to the legality of it, I think you should also understand that a 16-year-old girl is not mature enough to kind of understand whether taking this drug is going to do damage to her at this age, at this tender age, or it's going to help her. She can't really make out the difference between the two things. So it's your responsibility, unless you are okay with it. If you're okay with it, then you can just skip this point. But if you're not okay with it, then do not accept the fact that she's taking drugs. Confront her about it. Sit her down one day and talk to her that, hey, what's wrong? Are you taking drugs? If you are, because I can feel that you are. I know that you are. I've seen it. I've seen you take drugs. That is not acceptable. We are not going to let this happen. No matter what happens, we are not going to let you take drugs. So you either stop now, or we are taking you to a counselor. I mean, do something about it. Take an action. Threaten her that if you keep taking drugs, then we are going to have to send you to a counselor, or I don't know, a rehab place. I don't know how it's going to be in your city and in how the administration works and everything. But don't let her take that. I mean, whether she's smoking a cigarette or taking any sort of drug, don't accept it and take an action that very day. At that very instant, when you realize that she's taking drugs, that very instant you confront her about it. Counsel her. I would say the first thing that you should do is counsel her. Try to understand try to make her understand that it's wrong. Counsel her, guide her that, hey, it's not going to happen. You are not supposed to be doing this. If she doesn't listen to you, if she says that, hey, okay, I listen to you and I won't take drugs anymore, but then 2 days later, you realize or you find out that she's taking drugs again, take her to a counselor. You cannot even let her take any chances with this. Any chances. You can't as a parent. So confront her, counsel her. If she doesn't listen, take her to a counselor or do whatever you think is right. Take her privileges away. Take her phone away. Kind of take her to a different place. I don't know. Do something. But don't let her continue taking drugs. And I'm sure most sane parents wouldn't do it. Just by engaging her in family activities, just by sort of taking her out to her favorite place, going for a weekend getaway to her favorite beach or her favorite mountain, whichever is close to your house, or whatever it is that she likes, or taking her for her favorite sport, or taking her to a museum, or taking her to go watch a movie. As a family, I would say that you should do all of these things, but as a family, because when you do these things as a family, it kind of reassures the teenage mind that, hey, I have a family. Because they have so many things, kind of right there inside their head, and they really cannot make out how to deal with them. And sometimes, consciously they forget that they have a family that they can fall back on, or they have a family that they can, reach out to for support. So in that case, I would say that it's really important for you to engage in family time. If you have your dinner together, and if it takes about half an hour for you to eat food and then have a conversation, extend that to another half hour. Keep talking, keep engaging your kids in a conversation. If your daughter, if you have another kid, then you can sort of ask a general question to both of your kids and let them respond, and make your daughter's sibling, kind of engage her into conversation. So just spend more time together. If she likes doing something, do it with her, and not because you want to give her the feeling that, hey, because you're upset, you're going to do this. If you do it by showing her that, hey, because you're upset, we are doing this, and she will probably not show that she's upset, because she would feel that I don't need anyone. And every teenager, this is the golden thing that every parent must understand, that every teenager feels that they know each and everything about dealing with their own problems. So the moment they realize that you're doing something for her because she's sad, she's not going to show any sign of it, because she would say, hey, I can deal with my own problems, I don't need you, sorry. And that would be the end of it. You wouldn't be able to then engage her into doing those things which you wanted to do. So what I'm trying to say here is, instead of giving her the message that we're doing this because you're upset, no, we're doing this because we want to, because we are a family, because we are supposed to spend time together, because we are supposed to share what you're feeling, because we are supposed to be together, good or bad times. And why don't we go for a weekend getaway? Why don't we go for a weekend trip? Why don't we drive down to that particular beach, or that that hilly area around our home, and spend some time there? Or why don't we all go shopping? Why don't we all go do something? Retail therapy is something that teenagers love anyway. So do something like that. Just engage her in more family activities, and without giving her the signal that you are doing it because she's upset. You should give her the signal that you are doing it because you are a family. That will give her the reassurance that she's not alone. And that would even make her feel more secure. And when she feels more secure, she wouldn't be able to hide everything. As much as she would want to, she wouldn't be able to hide what she's feeling every time. She might not say it in words, she might not put it in a language that you would understand. But, the way she reacts, the way she carries herself, again, body language, everything will be visible to you as a parent. Now, what to do if she doesn't respond to any of this? It would be very difficult to manage her if she just doesn't respond to any of your attempts at helping her out. In that case, again, I would say that you must ensure that she has someone that she can talk to, like a friend, and if that really doesn't happen, if that really doesn't work out, I mean, if you observe that she isn't really keen on talking to anyone, she isn't really spending time with anyone but herself, then it's a good sign that she's suffering through major depression, and it's also a sign that she could be taking drugs. So in that case, if that happens, if you see that she's not responding, and if you feel that she's not talking to anyone, and she's completely getting out of hand, she's removed herself from everything, confront her, sit her down, confront her. What's happening? It would be good. I would recommend that both the parents should do this, but then I would advise that the parent who's more close to the daughter should do this. But I would recommend that the parent, I would recommend that both parents do this, so that she has an idea that, both of them are here for me. So yeah, I would say that both the parents should do this rather than just one parent. Yeah. So I would highly recommend that both of the parents should sit down and talk to her. And in cases where both the parents are not there, whichever parent she's most comfortable speaking to, and if that is not possible, then possibly a relative, or a distant, or a cousin, not exactly distant, but a cousin that she's comfortable in talking to. So confront her, sit her down, confront her about it, talk to her, and then tell her that, hey, we are really very concerned. Express your concern. That we are really concerned. There's something absolutely wrong with you, and we want to know what's going on, and we have to know it because we're really very concerned, and we are really very worried. That would be a start, I would say, to confront her and talk to her about this. And if she does open up to you at that moment, I would say then you should follow that up by 2 to 3 hours of just counseling her and guiding and mentoring her and telling her that, hey, what you're doing is absolutely wrong. What you're feeling is okay, is completely fine. You can tell her that if I were at your position, I would probably feel like this as well. Don't demean her sadness at that point. Don't demean her struggle at that point. But yes, and give her the assurance that it's completely fine. Validate her emotions, validate her thoughts that yes, it's fine to feel like this, and it's completely natural for anyone to feel like this, but this is unacceptable. If you damage your body, if you damage your mind, it's very worrisome for us. So we are not going to let it happen, right? And then cut her off from drugs. I don't know. In that case, you can take her to sort of as a sort of a rehab trip, if you may want to call it. You can take her to, I don't know, a farmhouse or a place that she loves, a place that is particularly removed from where you are living, far away from your house, and spend some time with her at that particular place, and try to get her into conversations and kind of just keep counseling her during those days. And if that doesn't work out, if when you confront her and she says no, there's nothing wrong, I'm completely fine, if she doesn't open up to you and if she doesn't share her problems, then you need to rope in a counselor. Then you need to take her to a counselor and let them do their job, because it's getting out of control, and you wouldn't want your daughter to be getting into that situation where things are out of your hands. And also talk to the school authorities about this. Let the principal or let the dean know that this is what's happening and those friends are troubling her, and let her teachers know, let the principal know, so that they can communicate something to the parents of those particular children, and they can kind of understand. And if that's not possible, then at least the principal can talk to those students, to those children who are kind of excluding her to not do it, because it's taking a mental toll on her. But yeah, I would, if nothing works out, you have to take her to a counselor, because you really can't let her be in this situation. And it all comes down to how your daughter is, to be very honest, how you have raised her, what kind of morals and what kind of values that you have given her. Because if you've made her into a strong woman, then she would probably come out of it really strong. She would feel sad about it because that's her age, but that would be for the shortest period in her life, like 6 months at the maximum, or even a year. But then after that, she would come out of it and she would say, yeah, it's okay, I mean, bad things happen. And she will recover, and she would just come back to a normal life, the way she was living before. But if she lacks those kind of values, if she lacks that courage to kind of stand up for herself and fight and kind of conquer through this particularly hard time, then she's going to need more help from you as parents, as well as external help, as much as she can get. So I'd say counselors and distant cousins or relatives, or I don't know, friends, someone that she really listens to and she really kind of adores or admires, and she likes talking to them. It could be even her elder sister or elder brother or something like that. So you must really look out for that as well. And yeah, that should really help. Yeah, I think I covered almost every point that I wanted to in this. Yeah, so that's it for today's video. I hope you found the video useful. If you have any questions, you can drop it in the comment section below. I have created an Instagram account as well, but I haven't linked it yet with the YouTube channel. So the moment I do it, you will be able to text me, DM me on Instagram as well. So it will be much easier for you to get hold of me. That's it. I hope you found the video useful, and good luck helping your daughter out of this problem. It's a big problem for her, but if you stand close to her and if you stand by her, then she's going to come out of it. And if there are any questions, then drop in a comment, and yeah, cheers.